I know what you're thinking. What in the gosh darn is Bits and Bombs? Bits and Bombs is a podcast deep diving into what it takes to do stand-up from a different comedian every episode. Follow new open micer Peter Doms in his journey to be an okay comic.
Laura Coleman.
Hello.
How you going?
I'm really well. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
We kind of caught up last night at Macca's.
Yeah.
Should we? Is that embarrassing if we talk about how we ran into each other at McDonald's yesterday?
And got the Biscoff. You got the Biscoff shake.
I got the Biscoff shake. Guilty. Locked me up. And you got to Minecraft situation.
Yeah, I got the Minecraft meal. The chicken nugget one.
Yeah.
So.
Just a couple of adults in McDonald's.
Yeah.
11 was it? 11 p.m.
Yeah. It was pretty late. We both had finished gigs and stuff.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. We were just clocking off, having a little treat.
Yeah. So, especially like we were talking about it last night, but I don't really eat before I do gigs and stuff too. Or like I eat like 4 hours before I do the gig. So by the time I finish it, I'm like so hungry.
Fully. Yeah, it's allowed. It's allowed. Yeah. My friend Jared has a rule that if you do really badly, you're allowed to get McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And if you crush, you're allowed to get McDonald's. But if you middle, you shouldn't get McDonald's. Okay. Because like if you do bad, it's like make you feel okay about life. If you do well, it's like a reward. If you middle, it's just, that just means you're getting McDonald's after every gig. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I kind of feel about like having a beer at gigs too, right?
True.
Because it's like if you're kind of treating that as like a reward system, you just an alcohol. You're just drinking at every gig.
I'll pretty much drink at every gig, except very specific situations. But
that's fair.
Yeah, McDonald's is for one extreme or the other. I think. Yeah.
What about Hungry Jack's? Where does that fall in?
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same.
I just thought it'd be funny, just specifically McDonald's, and then
Yeah. And you can if you get Taco Bell, it's only after you get a standing ovation.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's a big treat for that.
Especially like, I don't know what it's like in Brisbane, all the Taco Bells are like out of the city. They're suburbs. So it's like, for me someone that lives near the city, I'd really need to like.
The crowd would need to be standing, and then they would carry you on your back to the Taco Bell.
Yeah, they push me in an Uber to the Taco Bell.
You get a crunch wrap, and it'll be the best day of your life.
Yeah. I've been obsessed with Taco Bell like for the last 2 years.
Fuck yeah.
It's so good.
I never experienced it until my friend Lauren said, you got to try this crunch wrap. Yeah. And I tried it, and it's basically a soft tortilla with a hard tortilla in the middle. Yeah. So you get both. Porque no los dos. You get both. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
And don't even get me started on the double crunch. The
double crunch. Oh my God.
Double crunch is pretty crazy.
So I was just explaining the crunch wrap to you, and you're like, I'm across this. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Actually, it's really embarrassing. I have Uber Premium just to cover the because it's like $10 delivery fee.
Right.
Like, but if I pay the $10 subscription, then it's free delivery.
You're really living the stand-up comedy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it the nights that I'm doing gigs.
That's good.
Like, it's the off nights that I'm having the Taco Bells. I haven't earned the Taco Bell yet.
No. Fair enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When was your first gig?
When was my first gig? My first gig was in a Taco Bell. No. It was in 2019, I think. At the end of 2019, I did a comedy course. Okay. So I was one of those people. I did a course at Sydney Community College called Stand-Up Comedy or something. It was like 4 weeks, and one of those ones where they organise a gig for you at the end. Yeah. That's quite common, I think, as a format. Yeah. Yeah. Have you done a comedy course?
I have actually, but the first gig, like I just went up and did comedy the first time. Like Mackay just got its first open mic, and then a comedian come to Mackay with like a grant. So they were running like a council kind of run course, and doing the comedy course just let me have more gigs because Mackay literally had no gigs.
Where is Mackay?
So it's 12 hours, about 11, 12 hours north by driving of Brisbane.
Right.
And then, like, Townsville's, like, 4 hours further north. And
Okay.
then, like, Cairns is, like, 8 hours further north or
Yep.
so. So, yeah, pretty... Yeah, like central Queensland.
Yep. So you're not popping down to Brisbane to do a gig and then popping home?
Definitely not.
No. So fair. Yeah.
It's in a weird spot too, because like Townsville, they have a scene, but it's like 4 hours drive to your nearest scene.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of a weird like spot where they've tried to grow a scene there, but everyone is so new that it's like you have like the first open mic I did, 60 people as punters showed up, but only 4 people wanted to go on stage. So the issue is it's hard to run a regular thing when no one wants to do it, and if it's the same people doing it, the crowd's going to die off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so you did are there quite a few like comedy courses in Sydney?
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple at least, and there's like improv schools and stuff like that. But yeah, this one, it was actually a gift from friends for my 30th birthday, like a voucher. So I'd kind of mentioned that I wanted to do stand-up, and this was like their way of being like, off you go, like you've been talking about doing this, you should do it.
And what was the barrier for you, what was the barrier of starting stand-up for you?
I think I had a job that was very emotionally involved.
Yeah.
Am I making any waves on the thing over there? I'm trying to speak and I don't know if I'm making any waves.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thank God.
Oh man,
I would be like, fuck.
I was spitting fire. We have to catch that.
We'll talk about Taco Bell.
I know, not the Taco Bell riff. Yeah, I had a job that took up a lot of my time. And when I quit that, I was like, what else could I do with my time and energy? And then I guess since talking to my friends about it, I hadn't gone that extra mile and gone to an open mic. I didn't even know like what open mics there were or how to find out or anything like that. But then when I did the course, I met a couple of other guys who were like, yeah, we can join this group, we can find out what open mics are on and we can go to some together.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And then I did. And no one else, I was the only woman in the course and no one else still does stand-up comedy. So it's a victory for the girls.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the girls.
And did you have any experience with like any public speaking stuff before comedy or?
Yeah, I did debating. I did a few plays when I was at school, but I wasn't like a theatre kid. I didn't do like drama in year 12 or I didn't love like performing as such. I just kind of wanted to do something creative and I'd never been able to commit to any of the other creative things that I did. So like I was in a band and I used to write like short stories and stuff, but I never like really pushed to see how good I could be at those things. But with comedy, I was like, oh yeah, this is something I could like actually give a good go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get, what type of band were you in?
I was in a not pop punk, folk punk band called The Blast.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We had 2 guitarists, a bass player and a violin player and no drums. It's a bit of a weird setup. You seem like you're into music. Do you play music as well?
No, I want to learn drums, but I bought a drum kit when I was living in Mackay. I just never used it. I
think learning drums is a really good way to get in a band because I think bands always want drummers. And you got the hair for it already. Yeah,
I'm like, everyone just assumes I know like instruments, which is fair. But I'm like, I feel like such a poser because I'm like, I love music. I go to a lot of gigs and stuff, but I do need to learn instrument.
You've managed this far to avoid being in a bad punk band. And that, in a way, that's an achievement that you should be proud of.
Yeah, because I feel like it's probably too late. Like, I'm almost 30. Like, I feel it's too late for me to join a punk band now, like a band now.
I don't know. I started comedy when I was 30. So, like, yes, I guess it is a strange sort of life choice. But then I also had a friend, Emma, who started a band when she was, 30 or so. And I think it's like, as you get older, you care less what other people think.
Yeah.
So it does give you that freedom to be like, what if I was in a rock band?
Yep.
Who gives a shit anymore?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Because I just feel like, because I knew so many people in high school that started bands where I feel like I know like maybe a handful of people that started comedy in high school.
Right.
It's kind of the opposite way, right? Where like it's probably more likely to start comedy whenever in your life. Like, I know people that started like at 60 and different ages like that, where the people that I guess same time, there is a difference between starting comedy, like doing comedy when you're a teenager, and then sticking it out and still doing it. Like, there's very few people that are still doing it from when they were 15.
That's true. I think you're right. Like, I think it's less like rock and roll. So, like, it's just getting up and speaking. So, yeah, you don't have to be like, you don't really have to look a certain way to do that or be able to do certain things. But, yeah, I think also some people say that they started later. That made them better because they had more life experience to draw on, more stuff to talk about. They were a bit more down to earth. Like, I don't know, Luke Hegge's a good example. Like, was a labourer and stuff like that. So if you have a bad gig, it's not like you're 18 and you got nothing else going on and you're like, oh my God, my life's over. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to the work site tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just another day, you know. Yeah. There's heaps of people who started older, right?
Yeah. It's funny too, because I know friends that like started at like 28 and they're like, oh, I wish I started sooner. And then I know people that started at 15, they're like, I wish I started later, because they regret what they said.
Right.
Which I feel like for me is like a big thing too, is that I'm just glad I didn't start stand up in high school.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially now in the age of the internet where things live forever, like, I don't know, like you'd be saying at least for me, I feel like I'd be saying some crook stuff.
Yeah. And I
just trying to be edgy and shocking or whatever.
Right. But. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would have had that problem necessarily. I guess that's like a young man thing more often than.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I'm glad of is that when I started doing comedy, people told me like, don't post clips straight away. Like, you're going to be bad at comedy for a long time. Yeah. But now I do see a lot of younger, like in terms of time doing comedy, acts coming up, and because there's such a focus on like putting out content, people putting out clips with like bad audio, like low audience numbers and stuff. I'm like, oh, you don't actually have to put out clips. Like, wait till you have good clips to put out.
I'm also seeing a lot of people uploading clips where they're just not getting laughs as well. Like, and when I first did stand up, I posted like a clip straight away because you get so excited.
Yeah,
and then,
true.
Like, and I understand that. Yeah. But I think I deleted it after a week or so, and I haven't uploaded anything since. And people would be like, "Oh, do you have people that I work with or whatever? Like, oh, do you have any clips I can watch online?" I'm like, "No." Yeah. They're like, and then I get a lot of advice from like, just random people being like, "Oh, do what like what's his name." Trying to think of that crowd work guy.
Oh, there's so many of them.
There's so many. Any like reference any like online comedian, like do what he did. He's big online. I'm like, yeah, but I've seen so many people try to do that and get like 5 likes or whatever. I
mean, wasn't there someone who got found out recently for like staging crowd work clips?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently there was someone who was staging like huge bombs or whatever, but he was just doing it to an empty theater and then pretending he was bombing or something, and everyone found out. So I don't know, just like don't be like that guy, I guess.
How do people find out if no one was there?
If a comic bombs in the forest and no one, like, I don't know. But I think it was a big scandal, and everyone, big scandal amongst comedians who were like, yeah. But don't do that if you're just starting comedy.
That's funny to do the opposite of like, because like it's not him like editing in like laughter. He's just
It was a big like that. His point of difference for his clips was like, I'm eating shit up here, guys. You want to watch this? This is horrific. You're gonna cringe.
Yeah,
but you are gonna be watching like a train wreck.
I have seen a few of those clips, like a few like bombing clips, kind of going around, and the whole thing is like, haha, it's funny I'm bombing, which is interesting as a trend. But
yeah, I guess, do people want to feel like they're microdosing like humiliation when they watch that? Because we're also like shut off from any real emotion. They're like, well, if I watch that, I can feel like shame for 1 second, and it's exhilarating.
Yeah, and especially too because like when people talk about their fears and things like that, public speaking is generally up there for people's fears. So I guess it's kind of microdosing that, like watching someone jump out of a plane. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's like the fear is having like being embarrassed in a public like speaking kind of scenario.
For sure.
That's probably a part of it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Do people ever tell you that you're brave for doing stand-up comedy?
Yeah. Yeah, I do get that a lot. They're like, oh, I could never do that. I'm like, you're an ambo.
Yeah.
I couldn't, like that. It's always like, and they always have jobs where I'm like, I fucking couldn't do that.
No.
Like, and also like come to an open mic, and I feel like you'd see the type of people that do it, and you're like, oh, I could do that. I could do this.
I think literally anyone could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not like I was like braver than anyone else to do it. I have like pretty bad anxiety at times, and I had pretty bad anxiety like the first gig I had. Like it was one of those things where like it was on my mind for the whole week leading up to it, kind of thing, and like. And then once you do it, there is that kind of adrenaline rush of, oh, I did the thing. This is great.
Yeah.
And over time, the nerves go away. Like, I don't really get nervous anymore. But it took like 2 or 3 years to get to that point. So.
Yeah. I still get nervous like before certain gigs.
Yeah.
And speaking about anxiety, like the last week or so, just with Melbourne coming up, it's been like, am I going to sell any tickets? Is anyone going to come to my show? Is anyone from the industry going to come? And is that going to be good if they do, or is it going to be bad? So like, I definitely still get that before certain types of gigs, but not as a like routine thing before every show. Yeah.
And the nerves are never really about like the public speaking side. It's probably like, fuck, have I remembered all my material? Like, is it fleshed out enough, the idea, things like that?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I think so. And I think like, oh, so-and-so's here and they're an act I really admire.
Yeah,
and
it's like there's like stakes. Suddenly there's stakes to gigs. Like I did Raw recently. It was that same thing where I was like, fuck, I'm really nervous again because there's stakes to this gig. Yeah. So.
How was it? How was Raw?
Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Do they have that at Sit Down Comedy Club? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. A lot of people do Raw in Sydney because they're like, I just want to perform at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And it is, and you can get a photo of yourself in the background saying the Comedy Store, and it's
that's
like,
funny.
Yeah, but it's a great thing to do. Like, there's no reason not to do it. When I was starting in the scene, like a lot of people would really work on their 5 minutes for Raw. I don't know if people who watch this, would everyone know what Raw is?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Like there were people who'd been doing comedy for 7 years and were entering Raw for the first time with their like tightly honed 5 minutes. But I think now maybe it's not so much that anymore.
Yeah, I feel like it. I noticed going in this year, like I was probably one of the more tenured acts in like the kind of the Raw like state final and things like that, because the years before it was people that were around like the 4 or 5 year mark.
Yeah.
But there was like a lot of them where there was very few of us this year, and I felt like there's a lot of new people where I'm like, I haven't met any of these people, and
they often do really well because they've got like they're still really excited about comedy, and they haven't like been influenced by the scene or whatever. They're just saying whatever they want to say. Yeah,
they're like happy to be there. There's like none of that kind of cynicism. and they're not doing like a bit. Like for me, it's like I'm doing stuff I've been doing for like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, because it's kind of like you want to like bring your best material and stuff.
For sure.
So yeah, for me, it was definitely still like trying to hone that 5 minutes and really focusing. But it was also kind of a way for me to be like, all right, this is my last time doing Raw. After this, new jokes. I need to get rid of these, like at least archive these jokes for a bit.
Yeah.
And work on new stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's a good reason to do it as well. Just to be like, I'm captured that 5 minutes in time, and it's going over here, and now I'm starting new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And Raw is a good way to like work on word economy and honing like 5 minutes, because I feel like without something like that, I feel like I wouldn't be as conscious about getting to, you know, each punch as quick.
Yes.
And things like that too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I think someone told me when I entered the first time, they were like, focus on zingers per minute. Like really just like bop, bop, bop.
Yep.
Yeah, which is often what I think when I come up to Brisbane, because I'm from Sydney. And I was talking about this with Britt earlier today. Like Queensland crowds really just want like punchline, punchline, punchline. And yeah, it's good to experience that as someone who maybe can work on word economy and can work on really tightening everything up. Yeah, it's a great impulse to have, I think. No one wants to do comedy and then be like, you know what, I think I need to add more words and be more waffly.
Yeah.
I need to waffle around up there some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that like Sydney crowds are a little bit like just along for the journey, and Brisbane crowds are a little bit like get impatient if they're not at the next punchline? Is that what you...
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. This is not a scientific study I've done, but there seems to be a consensus in the scene that like Melbourne is like here and Brisbane is like here and Sydney's like in the middle in terms of how short and sharp you have to be. Like maybe it's more like a theatre arts culture in Melbourne, so people are like excited to see a live performance even if it's not a laugh a minute. But yeah, it's definitely in Brisbane. I'm like, if you lose them, it's really hard to win them back. And in my experience,
yeah, I've found that here too, where I've like started like doing 10 minutes, figuring out a 10-minute kind of like set is so hard, because I feel like I come out the gate really strong, and then I like can feel myself losing them over time in that 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck, I had them for the first 5 and now I'm like...
Yeah. And do you think, is that because you're doing that thing that is like open with your strongest, close with your second strongest, or is it open with your second strongest, close with your strongest?
I think that's that's... Yeah, generally. I don't know. I when I started, I think I focused on that. And now I've kind of... I think I still do that, but I'm more like focusing on like, okay, I need a joke that gives the crowd an idea of who I am. Yeah. And kind of getting their permission to like kind of pay attention to what I'm doing, kind of thing. So like I have a joke about like, oh, I worked at a video game store, whatever, and that kind of makes them go, oh yeah, this is a goofy guy, and then I can kind of go into stuff that might be a little bit more abrupt or things like that. For sure. I always forget that they don't know me. Yeah. Because I'm like quite a progressive kind of person. I'm quite a like lefty and like have been my whole life. And then when I started doing stand-up, I had to kind of work out how to not sound like I was lecturing about things or whatever, or not going on about politics too much. And now I kind of forget that people don't know that I have these views. So if I say something kind of borderline, there's no reason for them to trust or believe me. So I need to remember that, I need to actually let them know who I am. And so then if I say something that isn't in that character, they can feel like, oh, well, she's not a bad person, so it's all good. Yeah. But, so I get what you mean about like, oh, we know who this is. Now we feel okay spending 10 minutes with them or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess it's like if it's about... That's why like it is about like if you're gonna say something crazy, like, oh, I'm gonna punch an old person or whatever, it's like you have to build their trust so they actually don't believe you're the type of person that would do that.
Yeah, right.
Or do like whatever horrible act too. Like,
Fully. Yeah. I punched a couple of old ladies on the way here.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. They were Broncos fans, so it's all right.
Oh, they deserved it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Sucked in.
Do you follow who's your team?
Oh, well, I live in Canterbury, Bankstown, LGA, so I really should be following the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
But I don't have a team.
Yeah, I don't follow it either.
Okay.
My only team is My teams are Dolphins because it's just so fun to do the fins up.
Yeah, that is cool. And it's a new team and everyone's excited about it.
Yeah, and I have friends that like are either like go for Broncos or being from North Queensland go for the Bull. No, is it? I think it's Bulldog. No, it's the
Which location?
Townsville. What's there?
Oh, Cowboys.
Cowboys. I was like, yours is the
Yeah.
Cowboys. Fuck, I know nothing about NRL, but it's fun to say Dolphins because it makes both of the Cowboys and the Broncos fans mad. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good if you can do that. Yeah. I'll watch like the State of Origin and I'll watch like finals games if I know someone that is invested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like my friend who's a Raiders fan a few years ago, it was no good. I don't think it's a good time to be a Raiders fan. Anyway, you said you don't care about NRL. Sorry, I'll stop talking about it. Yeah.
We just start a sports podcast, but you don't know anything about the sport.
Oh, yeah. We're like, what team's from Wollongong? Oh, yeah. What team? Yeah. Thrilling.
As long as they're having fun, that's the main thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with your first gig, the showcase, like how did that go?
It was really fun. It was everyone's family and friends from the course, so it was really low key, and I did fine. I think that my jokes were probably really bad. I did some jokes about netball actually, because I used to play netball. But yeah, I thought it was really fun, and I wanted to do more. Yeah. I had the bug.
That's how, because was it, so for you, was it like I guess it was a gift and things like that. Did you think of it more as like a bucket list thing? Like, I'm just going to try this thing.
No, I wanted to see like what it was like.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't like, I'm just going to try this and tick it off.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if it was something that I enjoyed and that I could work on and spend some time on. Yeah. And here we are 6 years later. Yeah.
That's pretty cool to like, that's probably the best gift you've gotten, right? Like,
it is a really nice gift now that I think about it. Like, yeah, because it changed the course of the last few years for me, for sure. Yeah, like comedy's been the main thing that I've tried to do with my life, apart from like hang out with my family and friends and stuff. And yeah, but it's been like my main focus. So yeah, I guess they were like, here you go. And I was like, I'll run with this. Yeah.
And how did like the next kind of like what was the progression with like the next lot of gigs and things like that?
Not great. I started doing open mics with like real audiences, and they were kind of okay, kind of tough. Like it must have been all right enough for me to keep going. Like I didn't really stink it up at every gig, but it also was obviously very noticeably different than playing to like a very friendly crowd of family and friends and the family friends of other people who were on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found too, is that like I was performing to like really friendly crowds, and then to move to Brisbane I was like, fuck, this is like, that's when I was like, oh, maybe I'm not good at this at all.
Yeah.
But I think that's when obviously when you face the tougher crowds, that's when you learn to get better and things like that.
Yeah. No, I just think I'm not good at it after every gig that I don't do well at. Like, and that's just going to be, I think, the way that I am, and that's fine. Did I pick the wrong pursuit to have that kind of personality? Maybe, but yeah, that's all right. Here we are.
What's the open mic scene like in Sydney? Is it, because here we don't really have any like sign up on the night stuff. So you need to like kind of be seen by, to like get booked on gigs, you mostly need to be seen by like the person running it. So when you start out here, it's a bit hard to kind of get any gigs. You're kind of doing very few.
Yeah, that's really tough. I think I was really lucky when I started in Sydney. There were some genuine open mics. Like there were a few sign up on the night rooms. Like one I remember in particular, which was like pretty shit, but there was often like 5 audience and other comics who were good, who were trying new material. It wasn't like only like open mic people. It was like almost the whole breadth of the scene, people trying stuff. And then there were 2 really good open mics that were online sign up and curated. But if they hadn't seen you before, they would put you on and see how you went without necessarily having a vouch. Yeah. So then if you got put on one time and you did fine, or even if you just weren't offensive, they would put you on again in the rotation. So it was a true open mic, but it was, on the forms and stuff. And obviously if Sam Campbell wanted to come in that night, he would bump you, and that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, did Sam Campbell live in Sydney?
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
He did when I started. Other weird stuff would happen, like people who would drop in would be like, Cambo, other big names would drop into this like Newtown open mic, and you'd be on doing your 7th gig being like, what the hell? Like John Cruikshank would be there all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if Aaron Chen was there, but yeah, those kind of people. And you're like, oh my God. But also no one cares. They're focused on their own stuff. Like, yeah.
They're just trying to figure out if this, like, just figuring out new gear and things like
Exactly.
that. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was so lucky because now the open mic scene in Sydney is quite different. It's pretty hard to start. There's a few sign up on the night rooms, but I've only done one of them because I don't find them to be that productive anymore. I think we were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of residualized of people who can't get booked gigs because of the quality of the shows, unfortunately. And it's not any slight on the people who book those shows or anything. It's just audiences not wanting to see open mic and bigger acts not coming into the open mic to make the audiences want to go. So it's stuck in a bit of a cycle at the moment.
Yeah, I think the ones that I did closed pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
all the 3 that I just mentioned are all closed.
Yeah.
All the good ones that got me started. So much so that I don't know if I would have continued if I started now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because also there's like hardly any women who do open mic now because it's a very blokey scene.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, again, perpetuating. And not to say there's anything wrong with the fellas who do it. Some of them there is things wrong with, but most of them are pretty normal, nice guys. It's just that if you go to a gig and there's like 20 guys and you're the only girl, you're just not really going to go back. And so then the problem kind of continues. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's something that maybe the room runners could be doing more of too? Like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know at the open mic level because I think if you start as a woman and you're like decent enough, because of the gender imbalance in the scene, you get kind of pushed up quicker. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll change over time. It was sort of around COVID, like after COVID that happened. Yeah. I think we should not let people like say hate speech on stage. That should probably stop, but that's not necessarily a problem. That's a problem for everybody going to those gigs. No one wants to see that. Like, some crook stuff's been happening recently, but I don't know too much about it. I just stay away.
Yep. I guess as like a lot of that stuff does stay in the open mic kind of stuff. And I guess as a result of that stuff happening, that's probably why venues are closing those gigs too. Like, yeah.
And maybe the reason people feel like they can go absolutely feral because the stakes are low. Like, this is just a room that might be here next week. I don't respect the room. Like, I don't care. I'm in it for myself. I'm going to kind of say whatever I want, independent of the outcome on the people who might have come or the other comics or whatever. Like maybe there's a bit of that, a bit more nihilism, I think, in the scene.
Yeah. Because when I went to, I mentioned it last night too, when I went to Sydney, I was hearing stuff I hadn't heard in Brisbane. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You're just saying they were trying to be funny, but I was like, fuck, you're just saying the horrible thing. And there's like just two people just only two punters there just looking visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah, it's
wow,
not good. Surely it can't go on for that much longer. There are like rooms that have booked and then also have an open mic. There's one on a Wednesday, and like I think there's been a few people who've been asked not to come back even to that open mic because there's no progression for them. They're not going to get on the booked lineup, and they're just making all the other acts feel like, what the fuck is going on? Making the night worse. So yeah, I think some people have been like, you can't perform here, even at the open mic level.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's, I guess, yeah, if you're not going to respect like because most of those rooms will probably have like a rule book thing or some type of like, hey, don't say this or whatever. Like if you're not going to respect that stuff, it's fair enough that the person running is like, yeah, don't come back. Yeah,
or just basic common sense, like don't be rude to the person who's like doing the door.
Yeah.
Like just say, hey, how are you? Don't be like aggressive. Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of angry young men out there, and they probably shouldn't be doing stand-up comedy. They probably should be doing something to help them more healthy. I don't know. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like after doing a few gigs and like going into the scene, like when did you start to do like the festival? Like what was the first show you did?
I did a show after about 4 years. I did a solo show, which was like the best jokes I'd written the whole time, and just put that together. I did like split bills before that, probably from like 3 years in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did my first show in Melbourne. I only did 4 shows, which was great, in like 2023. Yeah. Maybe it was a bit early to do that because since then I've had like other opportunities mentioned that maybe I should have gone in that direction or whatever. But also I think people should just do long spots if they want to, and you'll get better at it by doing it. So like I don't think my first show was like phenomenal or anything, but if I'd waited, would that have made the first show better? I don't know necessarily.
Yeah.
Have you done any solo shows or split bills?
I've done a split bill. Like the longest I've been on stage was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But I felt like after do it, because I did like Adelaide last year, and that's that's where I met you.
That's right.
Actually,
Yeah.
But yeah, after doing that, and after being on stage for like 25 minutes, after like 15 minutes of being on stage, I was like starting to feel like a comfortable, like I never felt on stage before.
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
So I'd kind of eased into like I just felt present for like the first time, like ever on stage kind of thing, where I was like, oh, this is really, and then after that I was able to, I guess, emulate that comfortability.
That's great.
Like, or going into 5-minute spots, you're like, oh, 5 minutes is like nothing compared to 25 now that I've done it.
What a cool outcome for doing a split bill. That's awesome.
So I can imagine doing like an hour show would be like the same. Or
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's something I need a lot more practice, which is why I'm doing the festival again. You know, I just really want to get good at doing this longer time, because it's such a big part of how comedy is in Australia. So I think the only way to get better at it is by doing it, and hopefully this is my best show yet. I think the jokes are better, but putting it all together is still the hardest part for me.
What's your process in putting like the show together?
So I'll usually use the split build to run the jokes. And like Sydney Fringe, it's usually in like September, of 1 year. And then both times I've done that, I've been like, oh, this is what the jokes are about. So like, I didn't really realize what the unifying theme was until I did those split bills. And then, after that, try to go, what does this make sense in? Like, build it into 3 different chunks, you know. I think with this year's show, there's like a bit about like my friends, there's a bit about like going on holidays, and then there's a bit about things I want to do less of at the end. And then just try to have linking sort of so it makes sense. And so the audience aren't like, she was just talking about not wanting to have kids and now she's talking about loving her friend's daughter. And so just making it make sense, I guess.
Yeah, like finding like a through line or...
Yeah. I think I've managed to find the through line by doing the split bills and being like, oh, this is what I've actually... The unifying thing I've been talking about is like, so for this year, it's like, keep coming back, keep trying, keep going, you know, like I've been running, keep doing that, you know, doing stand-up comedy, things that you get better at by doing them over and over again is kind of the theme. Is that a through line? I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing really happens. I just kind of talk about those things and how I've experienced them.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean... I think next year, I would love to do that pretentious thing that people do and get a director.
Yeah, okay.
Have you ever had anyone like give notes on your set or anything like that in a kind of cohesive way?
Sometimes. The director thing is only something I've started to think about recently. I'm like, like, especially got like with Melbourne, how they, directed by, it's like another comedian. I'm like, what do they have to do with this? So is a director for a comedy show, is it like them constantly giving notes and feedback? Is that what that is, or?
That's what I think it would be someone who looks at your material and gives you notes on the material, but also helps you organize it and helps you like structure it so that the shape of it over an hour makes sense and keeps the audience engaged. Because that's what I sort of struggle with. I'm like, how do I make it sort of textured or whatever? Like, how do I not just go ba 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 la 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 for like 40 minutes and everyone's going, this is very samey. Like, how do I make it interesting for the whole time? And maybe develop some sense of leading to something or momentum. That's my weak point as an act. I don't know how to do that sort of dramatic kind of aspects of it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it would be like interesting to have, like, do you think you would consider having like a director? Or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd love someone to give me some advice about that stuff, even just to feel more confident and that like, no, you've organized it the right way, and no one is going to get bored at 34 minutes. Like, just commit to what you've done. Yeah.
I think that'd be a cool way to approach it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Hope so. So if anyone's watching this, wants to direct a show next year, send me a quote, you know. No, and also you can get friends to give you feedback like that. I just feel like this year I really asked my friends for a lot and I didn't pay them any money. So if I could just outsource that to one person, all my freaking out, and that would be good.
Because that's what a comedy festival show needs, is more overhead costs. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'd be curious what would even the cost of that be?
I think, how long's a piece of string? Like,
I guess
for me, I reckon if I had a day with someone to like run the show, they, write some notes about it, give me their thoughts, maybe get some lunch, do the show again, have another look at it. Like, that would probably be enough. But I'd probably want to pay someone for their time, or unless it was like a reciprocal arrangement. Yeah. Because sometimes you can see the problems with other people's jokes, but you can't see it with your own. But I don't know. I just think any tools you can use to make your show better, like with how competitive Melbourne is, I think just use them if you can afford it and if you have the access to it. Yeah.
Cool. And what's your worst bomb?
Yes, you did tell me you were going to ask about this. So, I mean, I don't know if this is my worst bomb, but it's my worst bomb story.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an infamous gig in Sydney at the Coogee Bay Hotel. That's the site of where someone put poo in the ice cream. Did you ever hear about
No.
this? Okay. After this, if you Google Coogee Bay Hotel, there was a whole thing where some disgruntled staff member put a scoop of poo in someone's ice cream. Anyway, that didn't happen at the comedy show, but I did eat shit. It was very backpacker heavy, like lots of young people, tourists, and the host is like this guy Pat Doherty, I think, was hosting. Have you met Pat? Or do you know Pat?
I know who he is, I think.
Yeah, he's super charismatic, handsome guy, like does heaps of crowd work, does heaps of like really short jokes, lots of act outs, kind of like the opposite of what I do, like the polar opposite. And they loved Pat and they loved all the other like really big charismatic acts. And I was just doing like deadpan jokes, just like blah, 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 blah. And everyone was like, what the fuck? And I think at one point a woman yelled out like, to everyone was just chatting and she was just like, be quiet, shh, or said something really patronizing like, she's trying or something. And I was just like, I'm going to kill myself. But then I left. Yeah, like you go on stage from the side, but then for some reason I walked off down the crowd and I saw in the audience that there was my most recent ex-boyfriend in the audience. That I didn't know he was going to be there and he didn't know I was going to be performing. It was just a very bad accident. So, yeah. You know, when someone you know sees you bomb that bad, you can't really... Like, he thinks I'm bad at comedy now and that's just my life. Like, I just have to let that be.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about that.
Well,
yeah.
It's funny you mention that because I've kind of had something similar happen recently where I recently left a job and a guy that still works there has started doing mics.
Okay.
But because he's just started and he's very excited to do it, he's bringing all the people that I used to work with.
Right.
So I'm bombing at this fucking mic and now these people that I know, like it's that same thing. I'm like, oh, they just think I'm bad at comedy.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
But it's also like, I don't work there anymore. I'm never going to see these people again, besides maybe other mics, but like... Yeah,
it's true. It doesn't matter. Like, I wasn't dating that person anymore and, like, we weren't going to hang out. It's just that you know that they know or they think that you're real shit at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit of fun.
a bit of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's next for you?
Well, after this, I'm going to beautiful Good Chat Comedy Club, doing a little spot. And then tomorrow I'm flying to Melbourne. I'll be there for 2 weeks. And then after that, I reckon I'm going to have some time off.
Fair.
Yeah. Just like Melbourne, organising everything has been really stressful. And the festivals are sort of like changing in this way that I think a lot of us don't really understand. So I think like just see how things go, then take a bit of a step back for a sec.
Yeah.
If I totally crush it and I sell out every show, maybe not, but yeah, at the moment that's my plan. Yeah.
And where can people find you?
Oh, they can find my Instagram. It's Laura Coleman. I also have a website. It's Laura Coleman Comedy if people want to buy tickets to my shows and stuff. Get a website, everybody.
Do you still do like blog posts and stuff?
I have a newsletter. Yes, I have a newsletter that I do monthly.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I remember I've read a few of those. I haven't seen them for a while, but yeah.
Oh, might be in your spam.
Sweet. I'll have a look.
Yeah, I'm still doing that. That's fun as well. That's a good way to, improve your writing as well.
Because it's basically like recaps on like festivals, like shows and stuff you're doing.
Yeah, I just write it like for about 90 minutes on whatever I'm thinking about and then try to make it snappy and interesting. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And yourself? Where can people find you?
Don't. No, I don't. Yeah.
You're on the gram.
I'm on the gram.
You're not doing clips, but you're on the gram.
I'm on the gram posting obscure stories that people like, what?
He's a man of mystery. People love that. They love a little mystery on there.
That and like just nu metal songs.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, man.
That's my Instagram.
And you can, when you start with playing drums in a band, you can pivot to your metal Instagram.
Good. Are there many comedians that do like? There's heaps of comedians that do guitar on stage. Any drumming comedians like?
That would be sick, actually.
Yeah,
There's a few that do like loop pedal stuff, like keyboard stuff, or maybe there's some that do like beatboxing.
Yeah.
You should do beatboxing.
Should learn.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Beatboxing at the open mic.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's sick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.